behind the scenes of growth and development in Mooresville, Lake Norman, and beyond. We're talking with the decision makers, the planners, the visionaries shaping our communities, giving exclusive insight into what happens before, during, and after projects that define our region. The future is being built right now. Let's go beyond the blueprint.
Good afternoon. Thank you to those tuning in on the radio on 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, on social media, on WSICnews.com, and on demand with Justin's WSIC News app. I'm your host, Brad Howard. Today's discussion will focus on the impact of motorsports and how a brewing company can have that local impact here. So this is Bryan Sperber. Bryan is the president of Michael Waltrip Brewing, who is rolling out beers as we speak. Today's show will go beyond the blueprint, and we're going to have an open conversation on how that is impacting our region and nationally abroad.
Well, thanks, Brad. It's good to be here. Justin, thank you very much. Now, I want to clarify, we're not rolling out beers here at the show. Which, by the way, is a party foul. We should have done that.
It is a party foul, but I thought I was going to have to burst the bubble and say the disclosure. There is no drinking of alcohol, no consumption happening right now.
I got a feeling it'd make the show a heck of a lot more interesting if we did. But anyway, thanks for having me here. It's great being here, and I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for coming. So today is a different show. We're also joined by Justin Kazepis, and he's going to drive a little bit of this conversation.
I'll make some stuff up along the way. I'm just glad you look good in the headphones, Brad. You do. I know you normally don't wear them. If you watch the video on demand or watch it on social media, Brad's not big on the headphones, but today he's got them, so I can mess with them a little bit.
That's right. So if you see a little delay, this is new for me. So no good. So Bryan, how in the world did you get here? So you came from.
Yes, a long-time NASCAR executive, actually even going way, way back. My dad was a racer, so I was exposed to racing as a kid. And he did a lot of drag racing. Our family's from Daytona Beach, Florida, so we're within the shadow of Daytona International Speedway. And we had a family business that built racing engines and race cars for all kinds of different race series, whether it's sports car racing or drag racing or stock car racing, even international racing. So just was always around it. And I remember very distinctly as a kid being at the racetrack every single weekend. And in my mind saying, if I ever get out of here, I am never going to another racetrack again. And went to college and immediately started a career in NASCAR. So, it's in your blood, man. You can't get away from it. So anyway, long story, I started, back at Daytona International Speedway in the Stone Age. I used to joke that, it was chariot racing back then. Richard Petty was an active driver, if that tells you how long ago it was. But just a, terrific opportunity to get involved in the sport at the pinnacle, at Daytona International Speedway. From there, a number of different roles within the industry. I was president at Watkins Glen in upstate New York, one of the most famous road courses in not just the U.S., but in the world. Former host to the U.S. Grand Prix, Formula One for many, many years. So terrific experience, great people. Then had the opportunity to go to Phoenix, where I was president of Phoenix Raceway for about 18 years. And while I was there, also served as chairman of the Speedway over in the Los Angeles market, California Speedway, as it was known. So anyway, just, really a terrific career. Had a lot of opportunities to do some cool stuff, meet some really, really interesting people, folks from everybody from, Muhammad Ali to Eddie Van Halen and, all the different racers nationally and internationally, and just really, really cool experience.
Very cool.
How did you land in Lake Norman then? Like at what point did Lake Norman intersect with your world?
Yeah, good question. So I was finishing up the last tranche of a huge development project that we were doing at Phoenix Raceway. We essentially tore the entire race facility down to the ground, including the race surface, and rebuilt everything over a number of years. The last piece of that was a $178 million final project where we really built a state-of-the-art motorsports venue. Phoenix Raceway had a great reputation. Produced a lot of great racing, but it was very long in the tooth. And, just the creature comforts were not in keeping with what the modern day sports fan expects. And so we repaved the racetrack, we reconfigured the racetrack, and then we built this really incredible venue that included, lots of experiential things for fans to be able to go into the infield and go into the garage area, which is at most venues restricted. So we created a way for them to do that. Just new seats, new suites, just all kinds of different things for the fans to experience. And so as that project was winding down, Michael Waltrip, the two-time Daytona 500 champion, and I had been friends for a long time and had been threatening to do something together. And as that was winding down, it really just seemed like that was the right opportunity to partner up and go ahead and follow through on all these threats of a partnership. And so we decided that we were going to start a beer company together. And what better place to start a beer company than Napa Valley? So it takes
Napa Valley.
Yeah, it takes two real idiots to, two knuckleheads there to start a beer company and one of the most famous wine countries in the world. But that is kind of how that all came together. And so Michael and I decided to move forward and started Michael Waltrip Brewing and acquired a very small sort of signature brewery up in Bristol. And so that brought my wife and I out to this part of the country. And
What year was that?
that was around 2021.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're 4 years later, is it still the same road pathway you guys, were forging on in 2021? Does it still look the same to you?
No, it's been nothing but pivots the whole way. What we started out to do is not anything close to what we're doing now. So it is pretty comical. And Michael and I laugh about it. So if we knew then what we know now, we never would have tried this. Because it's definitely an early stage experience where you just have to pivot. You have to be nimble because what you think is going to happen, there's usually a curve or a bump in the road, and often, what you think is going to be successful, it turns out that this pivot creates something that's even better. And so that's been our experience is that what we set out to do and where we are today is light years different. And the company today is so much better positioned for growth and for opportunity than we ever could have imagined when we started. So it's been pretty cool. But we got out to Bristol, my wife and I did, and we enjoyed the community there, but that wasn't going to be some place that we wanted to be longer term. And so I just needed to be. We're a regional brand, so we just needed to be somewhere in the region. And I let the boss, my wife, pick where we're going to go, and she landed here at Lake Norman, and we've enjoyed it ever since.
Yeah, and at 4 years, I mean that's a local. That's like a lifetime for most people that live here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And our son has moved out, so he was living out west, and so we talked him into coming out this way as well. So the family, it's been a bit of a family reunion, and it's been a great experience being here.
All right, and Justin, what are your thoughts?
I'm excited to dive in and learn about what it's like because as a brewery and you guys doing more than just having the tap rooms. I mean, you guys have the product across the country and whatever places you've got. I'm excited to learn more about that and the other things that make sense when you're talking about building a brand. I mean, my goodness, I can only imagine these days.
I think it's not just the brand, but it's the experience of the brand.
Yeah, I mean, so the way we've looked at, and this is part of this evolution, right, of kind of changing our point of view about what the company is. And when we started, Michael and I really thought about it as a beer brand. But what's happened is over the last few years, it's evolved into a lifestyle brand. It's all about motor racing, car culture, country music. And we can get into that, a little bit later. But it certainly was the big pivot for us was understanding how the brand has evolved.
And we'll get into that when we get right back. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Blueprint. And we're back on Beyond the Blueprint with Bryan Sperber and Justin Kazepis, adding so much to the conversation here today.
And Brad Howard.
And me as well. So now let's talk about the experience and what makes you different. Let's talk about the pivots that we were just discussing earlier. So what makes your brand and where you're positioned different from the rest of the market?
Yeah, I mean that really is the heart of why all of our pivoting was so important and instrumental to the future of what we're building. Because when we started, we really thought about it is hey, let's make a really fun beer, and we did a pilot batch. This tells you how unprepared we were.
You started in Napa, right?
Yeah, so that should have told you something. So we made Michael and I and one of our other partners flew up to Denver to meet a brewmaster up there that we knew. and said, "Look, this is the kind of style of beer that we want to make." And so, Michael and I aren't we're not technical brewers, so we don't really.
You don't have the palate. Is that what it is?
I wouldn't say that. Our palate is developed, and Justin, we put in a lot of work on that too. So
R&D.
Yes. So we knew like what we wanted to make. We just didn't know how to make it. And so the brewmaster gave us the best homework assignment you could ever ask for. He said, "Look, go down to the street, into the road. There's a bar that has all kinds of different beers." He goes, "Take notes and try all different beers in the basic genre that you're interested in, and make notes about what you like, what you don't like, and that'll serve as the guardrails for me to understand what beer that you want to make." So he said, "Okay." So we did that, and I'll tell you, at the very beginning of the exercise, the notes were very detailed, and all this stuff and flavors and aromatics and all this. By the end of the exercise, it was, this stuff tastes great. It was, but we ended. We have a lot of fun, and so we left Denver, and he went on his way to make this pilot batch for us. So we had no idea what we were getting into, and so the day comes that the pilot batch is shipped. I'm still living in Phoenix at this time. Our other partner lives in Phoenix as well. He's just on the other side of the neighborhood. And so we had a little party over at his house to get some other opinions on this pilot batch. So
everyone's gonna love it.
Well, we don't. Let me tell you something about you don't know when you make this. It created a lot of anxiety, and so Michael and Glenn and I tried it before anybody came over. He said, "Okay, well, if this stuff really, really sucks, then we're going to put Coors Light out." And so we liked it, but then, man, you don't know, right? And so we iced everything down, and a bunch of people came over and started tasting the beer, and they loved it. And I had people coming up to me and said, "Well, is there any way we can invest in this business, or do you have a book on the company that we could look?" And I'm, "Yes, absolutely." Well, everybody leaves. And we looked at each other and like, there's no business here. It's three knuckleheads that made a pilot batch.
Who's got the notes from when we were testing the flavors?
I saved them. I did save them. Someday I'm going to frame those. We'll put them up. But the reaction is what gave us the confidence to really take the step forward and turn it into a real company. And so anyway, so fast forward, it took us down a rabbit hole there, but fast forward to today. We had really thought that we were building just a typical beer brand, but over the years, what we started to see is that those humble beginnings of just a beer have evolved into more of a lifestyle brand that's really about motor racing. It's about country music. It's about car culture, just in general. And we kind of think of ourselves as kind of early days of a Margaritaville, where you have a very passionate niche audience that has a lovable front man. And we feel kind of the same way about Michael Waltrip Brewing, is that we've got this niche audience that just loves racing and cars and country music, and we've got a lovable front man in Michael that people really enjoy hanging out. He's as genuine as can be, and I can tell you firsthand, he's a great guy to have a beer with. And so as the brand has evolved, you started to see this connectivity to all kinds of different racing and Jeep clubs and Corvette clubs and online content creators and licensing and music and just a whole lot of things that we never thought we were going to get into at the beginning.
In the beginning, were you guys all in agreement of which market you should start in?
No, we certainly weren't. This is the pivots, right? So the original plan was to start the company in Phoenix. And I was there, had a lot of, contacts for over the years. Michael loves going to Phoenix to play golf and hang out. And so the thought was, well, we'll go ahead and start the company there. And then COVID came along. And so everything that we had planned just basically got put on hold, like so many other businesses. And so we're sitting there twiddling our thumbs, and we got a phone call from one of Michael's golfing buddies that had an opportunity in Bristol. About 10 minutes from Bristol Motor Speedway. It was it had been another brewery in this building. And so they had purchased the building and offered it to us to come in and lease it and spin the company up, very quickly. All the equipment was already there. So we made the pivot, and we completely changed course from launching in Arizona to, launching in Bristol. And so planted the flag in the Southeast. I always in the back of my mind had thought, the next logical move for us really is the Southeast. And so this just accelerated that decision. But since then, we've been able to start to, to grow the brand from a retail standpoint, bricks and mortar, and just other sports relationships, distribution relationships, et cetera, et cetera. So all in all, that another pivot that ended up being a really good move for us.
Brad was mentioned to the experience concept, right? Each market, I mean, are you having to adapt individually each market, or how do you balance that, like with what maybe Boston wants as compared to somewhere else, and then keeping the overall continuity of the brand too?
Yeah, so we haven't gone in the beer world. The territory by territory growth, is not as rapid maybe as you'd think. And so right now I think we're distributed in 5 states and we'll be 6 here shortly. So primarily southeast, and our plan is to really grow a little bit more into the southeast and then grow deeper into the southeast. We're in Maryland now. That's probably knock wood as far north as we'll go, at least for now. And just really focus on North Carolina and
Yeah, I can't
Tennessee.
drink 5 states worth of beer. That's a lot of beer. I mean, that's
It's a heck
that's
of
a
a lot
lot
of
of
beer.
product.
Yeah, it's a heck of a lot of beer. But to answer your question about experiential, so we view everything from our sports bars to our, we call them signature bars, which are branded bars inside other venues, whether it's sports venues or other locations, as an opportunity for fans and consumers to interact with the brand, to take kind of rub elbows with the fun-loving Michael Waltrip lifestyle, and try different types of beers that we produce. We make about 20 different styles, but we just opened a signature bar in partnership with Hank Williams Jr. and John Bon Jovi's hospitality company. We're on the 3rd floor of Hank Williams Jr. building on Broadway in Nashville. And of course, last week was NASCAR in Nashville, and so lots of fans were there drinking Michael Waltrip beers and having a good time at Hank's place. And our whole floor is the Michael Waltrip floor, and it's just been a great partnership, and it's been a lot of fun to see that come to life. So there's that's one style of experience, and then other locations will have always have the Michael Waltrip fun loving vibe to it, but it'll have a reflection of the local market as well.
Yeah, well, a great place for country music and beer is Nashville on Broadway. So you started out in the right spot there.
It doesn't get better than that, and to have a partnership with Hank Williams Jr.'s team and John Bon Jovi's team is pretty amazing. And you think back to when Michael and I started, it's like we could never have dreamed that, and here we are.
So, what are some of the other experiential directions you're heading?
Yeah, so we're working on a multi-day music festival with a really big national partner. The idea is that we bring together high level of talent, major artists, 40, 50,000 attendance per day, several day event. And it's an opportunity to showcase our brand, but as importantly, blend NASCAR and car culture with country music in a way in which consumers and fans can come in and really get this immersive experience of unbelievable music, cool cars, just the whole vibe of car culture and music culture coming together. So that's going to be a really big opportunity for us that we're focusing on. We have some cool stuff that's in the works with the U.S. military as well. We'll be bringing the Michael Waltrip experience to U.S. military installations probably later this summer, and then into next year. So we're always looking for things like that. We're even working now with other sports properties. So the Michael Waltrip beers now are in multiple baseball venues. We're now working with colleges, so we have a really cool collaborative beer program with Austin P University in Clarksville, Tennessee, where we've partnered with the school to create a beer, and so it's called the Governor's Golden Ale. Their mascot is the governor, and so together we have produced this beer, and now it's in market at Publix and Food Lion and other retailers. And so the students got involved, the university got involved, and it's a pretty unique collaboration.
What would you say of this many years now, actually handling and seeing the process of brewing? What's been like as beer itself? What's like the most surprising fact you've learned about beer that you'd say in like 4 or 5 years?
What I love about beer is that there's so much variety, and there really is a beer for everyone. And so growing up, like many people, as a kid, I only really thought of beer as like one style, just sort of that light lager that,
It's
my
beer.
dad
It's
or
beer.
grandfather was
Beer.
drinking, and that was it. And it's really cool now to see how, with the emergence of, craft beer and even just more creative brewing as a domestic beer, which is what we are. You've got all kinds of choices, and people can come to a bar and say, "Well, I don't like that particular style." That's okay because we have another one that you're going to love, and that's what I think is just amazing.
Yeah, and when we come back from the break, I want to talk about that because I love the names of the beers of the beers that you have. So as when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. This is Brad Howard with Justin Kazepis and Bryan Sperber on Beyond the Blueprint. And we're back with Bryan Sperber of Michael Waltrip Brewing and Justin Kazepis of WSIC. Having some really interesting conversation, and now we're going to get in on the beer names. So not just the brand itself, but the names are really cool, and I love them. So go ahead, give us the story, the backstory. I want to know where they came from.
Yeah, so we were just talking about during the break that some of the names of the beers are we have a lot of fun with them. Michael makes up some of them, I make up some of them, and the idea is again, to tap into this idea of car culture and just some sort of double entendre and inside jokes for people that like racing and NASCAR and car culture. So we've got one beer that is called Bristol Sunshine. Which is a tip of the cap to Bristol Motor Speedway, of course. And then Talladega Light is our number one beer. That is the old Will Ferrell movie, if you remember. So we have a lot of fun with, you ain't first, you last, and shake and bake and stuff like that.
And they recorded some of that here in Lake Norman, which is cool too, back when they recorded that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you go to our YouTube channel, Michael and I filmed some parodies from that movie where Michael plays the role of Mikey Bobby, Ricky Bobby's long lost brother. So we had a lot of fun with that. And then we've got a new beer that'll be coming out this summer called the Big One. Of course, that's slang for the big wrecks that you'd see at Daytona or Talladega, or it could mean something else. If your mind wanders, what the big one is. But then we have some other beers like that aren't widely distributed that are really kind of fun. And one is called Slide Job, which is a racing term. But if you mention to somebody who doesn't really know what that is,
ordering what?
Yeah, you get the raised eyebrow and they're like, what are you talking about?
I mean, Bryan, that's got to be wild. Like, you know the history of NASCAR, right? You've been in the game for a long time. You know a lot of people. Michael obviously does too. What's it like coming to Race City, USA, and having this brand, and now years later, growing and being here and almost starting here, rebranding again, right from the beginning? What's that been like for you guys?
It's awesome. The motor racing here is so important, as you mentioned, currently, but also the history here. And Michael himself has a long history in this region. So many great race teams, so many great memories at Charlotte Motor Speedway and just the surrounding tracks, whether it's North Wilkesboro or, some of the others. Racing is, part of the fabric of this community, and to have a brand that is representative, at least in our way, of that. We take a lot of pride in that. It's very, very, Michael and I both take it very, very seriously. Like we have fun with it. This is a fun brand, but that doesn't mean we don't take it seriously. And so from the quality of the beer to how we present and represent motor racing in our little world is very, very important to us, that we do it, professionally. Have fun. Absolutely. It's supposed to be fun when we make fun of ourselves, and some of the beer names are hilarious, but being, in this community, and, Michael's lived here for over 30 years. And so it's very, very important. And it's cool because you see, all the race teams here now are aware of who we are. And so that's neat when you go to the races, even in other parts of the country, people know about Michael Waltrip Brewing. And I was just down in Daytona for the 500 at the beginning of the year, and walk in the garage area, and see a bunch of old, friendly faces from my time in the industry, and people are aware of what we're doing. And I don't think that would have happened unless we had a presence, here in this area.
And so seeing and being able to walk into, so if you're gonna walk into a Michael Waltrip Brewing facility, we'll say, because who knows what the pivot is in the future of where people are going to be going to hang out with you guys. But if they walk into, what is the experience you want them to have? What's the vision?
Yeah, so our vision around how we create the in-person experience is really to first and foremost interact with Michael's point of view of life, which is all about having fun. And so, we hope that people come into it and say, this is the kind of guy I'd love to have a beer with, and that just can kind of hear his voice, telling funny stories and laughing. And he always talks about the mission of the company is to make people smile, and I couldn't agree more. And so that's first and foremost, we want people to have a great time. We want them to be able to experience our beer and enjoy it, and maybe try something they haven't tried before. And so that's really exciting to me is when you see somebody try one of our beers that has a preconceived idea about what it is or about what beer is, and it blows their mind. And my grandmother had this saying. This is so funny about a left-handed compliment, and we get this all the time. Like Michael and I'll be out, we'll be doing beer tastings at a retailer or even some of the bars, and somebody will come in and try our beer for the first time, and they'll take a sip. And then they'll look at him and then they'll take another sip and they'll look back and they kind of tilt their head and they go, wow, this is actually good. And so we laugh so much about that because it's so hilarious. Like, no, we know we're not trying to make bad beer. So we just have a lot of fun with that. But it's cool because you're seeing, many cases, the first time somebody has ventured out from trying their tried and true beer, the ones they've always.
They get into a routine and that's what they always drink.
Yeah. And so they've tried something new and they're like, wow, I didn't know something like this even exists. So it's cool to see kind of that light come on, for so many consumers.
So 2025, looking back since 2021, what would you say has been the biggest challenge thus far for you guys?
Oh man, there's been so many, we made a ton of mistakes. We're an early stage company and man, if we could go back in time, what was that song? If I could turn back time.
Cue the sheriff.
Yeah, man. I wish we could. But it's what do they say? You're winning or you're learning. And so we've learned a lot, but it's made us stronger, and I think we talked a little bit about how the company's pivoted over the years into this lifestyle brand. And, that didn't happen overnight. That was, and frankly, I resisted it at the beginning. I thought, man, that sounds really cheesy that we're a lifestyle brand. No, we're not. I always thought that was way beyond, what we could ever hope to achieve. But over time, our team just kept pointing out like, hey, dum-dum, look at what's happening here. And so I've kind of come around and embraced it. And so I think, looking back, I wish, wish we could have gone faster, wish we'd have known more about where we would end up. But I guess that's part of the journey too. You just learn along the way.
Well, you said as far as the team goes too, right? That's got to be, what's that experience, this kind of team versus, a NASCAR team? What's been that difference for you in those two different worlds?
It's really similar. This is what people are surprised to hear, that you say, wow, you went from running a NASCAR track to, running this lifestyle beer brand. Yeah, it must be so different. And it's really not. There's so much crossover because we, as a lifestyle brand, we have a lot of business to business dealings, whether it's with retailers, whether it's with our distributor partners. Very, very similar to my old life, where we dealt with corporate sponsors and media companies and that sort of thing. We deal with consumers. Those are folks that are picking up a 6-pack or buying a draft beer. Same thing. We sold tickets to consumers, and so just the way you promote a brand, everything from social media to advertising to just public relations, any and everything. It's just a tremendous amount of crossover. Yeah, the core industry is different, of course, but everything that you do to drive the business is very, very similar.
So if you walk into the grocery store, like, and you see the brand, do you fix it so it's straight?
Oh, heck yeah,
kind of
man.
thing. Yeah, that's
yeah, and it's really wild too because sometimes we get caught up in it and don't stop to really take stock of how far we've come. And this was a couple of dudes dreaming of a beer. And now we're on the shelves of places like Food Lion and Publix and Food City and others. And it's just really nuts to even think about that. And yet, here we are. But yeah, I'm always merchandising it. And then the other funny thing, this is so ridiculous, but I love it. It's just hilarious, is that you go through this this anxiety where you go into a store and if you see the shelf fully loaded with Michael Waltrip beer, you're like, oh my God, nobody's buying this. But then if you go in and it's like sold through and there's like one lonely 6-pack at the back, you're like, oh my God, why aren't they restocking this thing? We're missing sales. You can never win, man. It's just this constant turn.
Yeah. And on that note, I remember one of the first times when we met early on is I went to grocery store where Michael was doing a launch. I guess they were launching your beer in their store, and I never even knew they sold beer for consumption in a grocery store.
Oh, right.
So,
That's
yeah.
Lowe's. I think at Lowe's in
It was,
Mooresville.
it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
That was-
yeah. Great store. We've had so much fun.
And Michael was around slinging beers. I mean,
What, handing out sippy cups, like little mini ones?
Oh yeah, he's a fantastic bartender. Like he has great stories. People love it. But I think at that night there was a sort of a yacht rock band that was playing, and he got up and sang with them.
oh, I missed that.
Oh man, yeah. You should have hung around. You left early.
I left early.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's always good stuff. And then I've got a video on my phone. We were out at in Nashville at Hank's, where our bar is, and
Right.
Michael got up on stage and sang a song with the band there. So
And we're going to play that as we go into the break.
I hope so. That'd
yeah.
be great.
All right. No, thank you. And we're back with Bryan Sperber of Michael Waltrip Brewing and Justin Kazepis, local radio
Thanks for letting me
personality.
crash, by the way. I appreciate it.
No, I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Crash.
I thought this would be good. So let's talk about what the challenges are on a brand of your size and where you are in your growth cycle in the market. What do you see as your path forward? Where are you going from here?
Yeah, it's a good question, Brad. I think when as we talked about in the earlier segments, when we started the company, Michael and I had pretty humble expectations about what this could be. And as we've gotten into it a little bit deeper and a few more years, you really start to see this incredible opportunity. And in a space that, I'm sure you guys hear, people complaining about the beer market, oh, it's overcrowded. And, what we're seeing is that we're a little bit of a different animal in that we're seeing just tremendous growth, tremendous opportunities to grow geographically, to be able to grow with retail. I don't know of any other small brand that's got these kinds of opportunities. It's a real tailwind, and it's hard to say no. To be honest, we've got retailers and distributors in Texas and Pennsylvania that want to bring the brand in, and we've got to right now say not yet. And man, that is hard to say.
As a growing company, I understand.
It really is. And so, we talk about this a lot about, we're the dog that caught the car, and that, all of a sudden, we've got all these new territories, these new geographic territories that are opening up to us. And we shipped them to Maryland this week. So just a lot of new markets. Nashville's come online, Memphis, Knoxville, we just signed. So you've got really big markets and lots going on. And so while the opportunity is awesome and there's just tremendous upside for everything that we're doing, we're an early stage company that's, it has a need for, injection of capital, right? So you got to have that working capital, that investment capital, to be able to facilitate growth. So, that's, one of the things that I focus a lot of my time on right now. In fact, Michael and I were just talking about this, the other day that, when we started the company, we had visions of what our roles were going to be. And, I'm spending a lot of time right now identifying really great capital partners and, to be able to explosively grow the brand the way that, we've got the opportunity set up for us. So, it's a story you've heard before, small companies that need capital to be able to grow, and we're no different.
And have you found that because again, NASCAR, going back to the history that you've got, is it takes capital. Metal is not cheap, right? For all these cars driving on the track, it's not much cheaper probably for aluminum for cans or glass for bottles, or when you're working with other distributors and shipping costs and all those kinds of things. Does it feel like it's stabilized now in the sense of what like expected costs are? Or are you guys even having to monitor like at that micro level, just given the way the world is right now?
Yeah, but you got to keep an eye on commodity prices and all those kinds of things are really important. But by and large, a lot of that is stabilized. But there's always the shoe that's going to drop, and there's always something around the corner. It's like nothing stays the same. So you have to be prepared for that. I think what's wild about about where this brand has taken off is just the incredible amount of inbound opportunities. It's just something we never really anticipated. In the first few years, everything is, calling people, trying to get them to work with us. And now we've got so many things that are coming our way that it's just bewildering and just, amazing big partnerships. We're really out kicking our coverage. And so it's just really, really hard not to just dive in. And so we have to be disciplined about it.
Well, and obviously the brand, as you've mentioned, is geared so much toward NASCAR, right? So how much are you having to monitor and pivot based on what happens, just generally speaking, we'll say in the sport, as compared to just what you guys want to do as a company yourselves? What's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, clearly racing is part of the DNA of the brand. Michael's a two-time Daytona 500 champion, Fox Sports broadcaster. He's on, every week with Fox. I've had a career in the sport as well, from the old days. So, we're very much tied to NASCAR and to motor racing in general. And, our fan base comes from that audience as well. And so we always keep an eye on what's happening. Michael's, at the track, very regularly for Fox and for some of his other business dealings. So, he's got a really great pulse on what's happening in the garage area and just overall business and broadcasting. And so he's got, a point of view and access to different types of information than I do. And so it's always fun when he and I can get together for a beer and just not even talk about our company, but just talk about the health of the sport. But, from my point of view, just, looking at, where things have been and where they're going, I am incredibly encouraged by what I've seen directionally from where NASCAR is going. It's not to say there aren't, issues here or there, but by and large, the TV ratings, continue to grow. You can just see the attendance is growing at the events. The enthusiasm is growing. People are now, water cooler talk is back about NASCAR. And then just the innovation, things like, the NASCAR Cup Series going to Mexico City in a couple of weeks, just phenomenal. Even, for little old Michael Waltrip Brewing, that's opened up opportunities with retailers in Mexico. Now, you want to talk about something it wasn't on my dance card that we might be shipping beer into Mexico.
To Mexico.
To Mexico, right?
Yeah, man. And we have a big retailer there that wants to do business with us. So we're working on that. So, that's a huge plus, I think, for the sport. It'll be really exciting to see how that plays out. And then from a broadcast standpoint, Fox has done, as it always does, a fantastic job of presenting the sport at the beginning. They always they get it going at Daytona and then hand off the baton. And then, just I guess a little over a week ago, Prime, Amazon Prime took the reins and presented the race at Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Cracker Barrel 400 at Nashville Super Speedway this past week. And it was really exciting to see just a different take on the sport and how they approached it. And then there's a lot of buzz. Some people don't like it, but I think by and large, most people really, really appreciate it. Just the way I look at it, it's almost like a different flavor of ice cream or a different style of beer. And so it's all good. It's just fun to be able to try the different styles.
And that digital world, right? Like it's all shifted from the brand partnerships perspective too, because it's all about audiences and making sure that you're still connected in different ways and providing those experiences. Are you guys are excited about that? Does that make you more excited that everything is going so personal, direct to people, or do you miss the old ways almost of the broad kind of reach and the equation just fits nicely for everybody to do their own thing together?
Well, that's a great question. I think you look back at quote unquote the old days, right? It was really a gatekeeper economy, and so you had to win over whether it was the local newspaper editor or TV guy or what have you. There's just so few ways to get your word out about a brand or whatever you might be doing. Today it's really opened the door for small brands. And so you really think about could Michael Waltrip Brewing could we have had any success, back in the old days where the ability to communicate with consumers was just so challenging. And today, not to say that, maybe we've gone overboard. There's just so many platforms. There's so many ways.
You can't keep up with all of them.
It's really a challenge. But Michael's great on social media, and we're trying to get better as the brand, and it's just a great way to interact with consumers, and as importantly, be able to maybe bring some people over to be aware of what we're doing. I was talking about how, there's tens and tens of millions of NASCAR fans around the country, and almost none of them know we exist. And so that's exciting to me.
When you guys have developed each of the different beers, do you get involved in the art too? Because I feel like I'd want to get my hands dirty with making the art on the beer, but then I'm a terrible artist, right? But so what's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Yeah, of course. And no, it's cool, man. Bringing the names to life. Michael has some really, really funny stuff that we could never put on a can. And so we have a lot of fun with that. But it's cool, man, to see it come to life. And what's really wild is to see people wearing T-shirts with Talladega Light or Bristol Sunshine on their shirts, and especially people we don't know that might be at a racetrack and a picture's snapped and it's just forwarded to us, or it just organically pops up on social media. And that happened last week. There was a bunch of fans at the Michael Waltrip bar at Hank Williams' place on Broadway, and they're shooting videos of them drinking Bristol Sunshine up on the roof. And they're like, man, that's so cool.
Yeah, and the reach of this is one thing I didn't have any idea about. Is you could have that new bar, you could have a little segment, and somebody posts something on Instagram. I mean, from going from a local small company, how many hits could you get on an impression on one of your posts?
Yeah, we did a pilot program with one of our retail friends, Food City, up in Southwest Virginia and Tennessee. And, Michael wasn't even in it. So it was just, some folks on our staff, and it ended up generating about 16 million impressions. It would have been, that's inconceivable from the old days, right? You would never
16 million.
I know, with a single post, right?
Yeah. And so, it helps to have, a little bit of, some push behind it, of course, but even still, just being able to connect to that many consumers it's a whole new world, and it gives gives a little brand like us an opportunity.
And it's exciting. And to be able to have the experience locally of going into a Michael Waltrip tap room here locally in Lake Norman area is phenomenal to see. I always come back to the fact that at Lake Norman, there's so many thought leaders here and many people doing stuff and producing and really actually doing fun things in the world. So thanks for sharing today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
And I think it's so cool to come from an idea when you were having wine in Napa to tasting and making notes and forgetting what notes you made to having beers on the shelf. And then, I mean, just the whole transition of everything. It's got to be amazing.
Yeah. It's Mike and we talk about this a bit, it's like you were so close to it, and we're both come out of the racing world. So you want to go fast, and we want to build the company yesterday and all of that. But you look back and you think, man, how far we've come in really relatively short period of time.
Absolutely.
3 or 4 years to be able to have these retail relationships and distributor relationships it's pretty amazing. So sometimes we got to take stock of where we are and appreciate it.
Absolutely. And they've done an amazing job. And I just want to thank you, Bryan, for taking the time to come today. And Justin, as always.
I don't even go to this school. I don't even know what's going on.
No. But thank you, everyone. This is Brad Howard, Beyond the Blueprint, and we'll be back next week.